If this isn't punishing patriotism, then what is? Let's debate this on debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight. Good evening, Dr. Sambit, Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP. Suhail, Bukhari, Chief Media Advisor, Government of Jammu and Kashmir. Sushil, Pandit, activist. Sushant, Sareen, Senior Fellow, Vivekananda International Foundation. Junaid, Matoo, Spokesperson of the National Conference, and Professor Rizwan, Qaiser, Department of History and Culture, Jamia, Millia, Islamia. Professor Rizwan, Qaiser, let me start with you and let me just tell you why I believe and why we believe that it is such a great travesty, Professor Qaiser. Because the travesty in all of this is that communal politics has taken precedence over justice. The travesty in all of this is that vote banks and the desire to appease separatist sentiments have taken precedence over giving a group of people their legitimate right of full state citizenship. The travesty in all of this is that those who chose to become a part of India, believed in the idea of India, have been reduced to second-class citizens here. That's the travesty, Professor Qaiser.
2-3 things I think we got to remember very clearly. The partition did great devastation to India, but also people on both sides of the divide. Never forget the fact, the plight of lot many Muslims who migrated to Pakistan. They till date they are known as muhajirs and they are discriminated against Pakistan. In India, I think all the people who came from the Pakistan side, they have the citizenship right. Here the question is not that of the citizenship right, but providing them the right of domicile in Jammu and Kashmir, especially Kashmir, but then Jammu and Kashmir as a whole. It's not a question of choosing between a Hindu and a Muslim. An ordinary Kashmiri would be concerned about providing that common domicile, even if that was a Muslim. However, there would be very, concerned about providing that kind of thing.
Professor Qaiser, somebody who's lived 70 years, how is that person less Kashmiri than anybody else, Professor Qaiser?
I think the priority for the priority...
And when they say that it's an attempt to demographically alter the state of Jammu and Kashmir, what are they hinting at? What are they talking about?
Priority of the government of Jammu and Kashmir should have been to create conditions for the return of Kashmiri Pandits. For last these many years, Kashmiri Pandits have been living in pitiable condition. There should be a matter of priority that how come they are in a state of exile within the same state and elsewhere in India. I think that should be the priority rather than providing the right of domicile in Jammu and Kashmir.
The priority is that whoever has chosen Kashmir should be allowed to live in Kashmir with dignity, sir.
Junaid Matoo, let me get in Junaid Matoo at this point. Junaid Matoo, is it a complete coincidence that the lines that the National Conference is saying are the lines that have been said by Saeed Ali Shah Gilani, Rashid Engineer, all of them saying the same language, that the demographic profile of Jammu and Kashmir will change? And let me tell you what the Pakistan Foreign Office spokesperson has said. Nafiz Zakaria, his statement is, reportedly the PDP-BJP combined in violation of UNSC resolutions has started issuing domicile certificates to non-Kashmiri Hindus in Jammu. The move is part of the regime's nefarious designs to change the demographic composition of the territory. Is the National Conference with the separatists and with the Pakistan line when it talks about giving the citizenship status to these refugees just because they are Hindu refugees? Are you going to take the line from Pakistan now, Junaid Matoo?
I hope you let me answer without interrupting. We don't need any lectures about secularism from you or from anybody else. Non-state subjects are non-state subjects even if they are Muslims. State subjects are state subjects even if they are non-Muslims. Kashmiri Pandits are state subjects. Nobody can ever take that away from that. The constitutional charter...
They're still not back in Kashmir.
They're still not back in Jammu and Kashmir. 3.5 lakhs of them.
Thrown out 3 decades ago.
Any attempt to get them back hasn't really succeeded, whether you were in power or any other government.
Should I curtail? Navika, I'm not interested in yelling back at you. If you want me to answer, do you want me to answer my question, the question that you asked, or should I now curtail that answer and answer the Kashmiri Pandit question as happens with every debate?
Answer both, Junaid Matoo. Don't be defensive. Don't be defensive, Junaid Matoo. Answer both questions. Both are relevant questions to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Answer both.
I don't need to be defensive in front of you, of all the people, Navika. The state subject laws are not open to naturalization through the tenure of living in this state. They are the citizens of this country. They vote in parliament elections. They might be Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs or Christians. Their religion is of no significance. You cannot get a state subject certificate by the process of naturalization. That is a constitutional matter. I know sitting in these news studios, nothing matters to you. Only the tags of national, anti-national, Pakistani agent. And I remember, you just called all politicians fools on your show. That is the level. That is the level to which you are willing to stoop down to promote your own prejudice.
Thank you very much, Junaid Matoo. Well tried, but it is not working, Junaid Matoo. Navika Kumar just clearly elucidated what the Pakistan of foreign minister is saying, what the separatists are saying, what National Conference is saying is the same. Why?
I don't know who made you an anchor.
Why? You can keep wondering. You can keep wondering. You can keep trying to get personal, Junaid Matoo. It's not going to work. You can keep wondering. That's a subject matter. That's a subject matter for you to think after the news hour. You can keep searching for the answers. You can look high and low, but it doesn't concern me. What concerns is the subject matter of the debate. Can you answer that, Junaid Matoo? Do you have the gumption to answer that? Because more and more what happens is what the message of the separatists is sounds similar to the National Conference. And when I say that, why does it irritate you?
I'm sure you've lowered my volume right now.
No, not at all. We can hear you loud and clear. We can hear you loud and clear, and we don't need to lower your volume at all, because we want to hear you. We want to hear you, Junaid Matoo. We want to hear you. Well tried again, I say. Try again. Try again. Raise your voice a little more and try again, and let's see if it works, because this is not working. Can you get back to the debate? Can you answer the question that is making you uncomfortable? Can you answer the question that is making you uncomfortable, Junaid Matoo? Will you answer the question that is making you uncomfortable?
Stop heckling, man. What, are you in 8th grade? No. Are you in school? Stop heckling.
Right now we are on the same debate. Right now we are on the same debate. You decide what level you want to stoop down to. I am trying to maintain the dignity of this debate.
Now I am going to try and answer your question.
Yeah.
Now I am going to try and answer your question.
Please do.
It is your job to ask questions. It is my job to answer them.
Thank you for the lecture. Shall we get back to the debate? Thank you for the lecture. Get back to the debate. Come on, get back to the debate.
Somebody shows you the mirror.
To get back to the debate. Come on. Well tried. But come on.
The state subject laws are not... Oh, what a child. The state subject laws are not open to naturalization.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
It is the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. It is the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. It is the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. It is not open to dissection and trivialization from the likes of you or anybody who is deluded into thinking that calling anybody a Pakistani agent means that we can demolish their legitimate and constitutional
If you want to call yourself a Pakistani agent, please go ahead and do that. We just asked you, why is it that your lines are similar to what is coming across from Pakistan? Does that make you a Pakistani agent? I don't know. Somebody in 8th grade will not make, somebody in 8th grade will not draw that conclusion. Wonder where you are to draw that conclusion.
As much as that makes you a BJP.
So go ahead, Junaid Matoo. Explain, talk about this. Somebody who chose Kashmir 70 years ago, why is that person still an outsider?
Junaid Matoo, the real question at this point is...
They cannot override the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir. They are
Junaid Matoo,
even if they chose India, good
Junaid
for them.
Matoo,
they are not the state subjects of Jammu and Kashmir. They cannot be the state subjects of Jammu and Kashmir.
Well, you have spoken, so it's been decided.
Open to naturalization.
You have spoken, so it's been decided. Junaid Matoo, the National Conference decides what's going to be the agenda of any state or anybody in this country. You have the sole and absolute right to decide people's futures.
Trivialization and distortion from the
there is no trivialization.
The Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir does not allow state subject law to be given through naturalization.
Heard you, Junaid Matoo.
You cannot change our constitution. We will not
amend our
constitution.
Matoo. Don't repeat yourself. Junaid Matoo, heard you the first time around. You don't have to repeat yourself.
You repeat yourself.
Okay, I'm asking you a simple question.
Only you can repeat yourself on your show.
Junaid Matoo, don't lose your cool. We are having a civilized debate here.
I'm very calm.
As you said, we have the right to ask the questions. You have a right to respond.
All of a sudden.
So let me ask you a question, a follow-up question, Junaid Matoo. Why don't you set aside your political hat for the moment? Stop muttering, Junaid Matoo. Listen to my question. Why don't you keep aside your political hat? Yeah.
Did you just say I was muttering?
Yeah, you were muttering something under your breath when I was asking the questions.
And you call yourself a news anchor?
What is this happening?
Is that not what you do when people speak on your show?
Can we have a serious debate on this issue?
No, we are trying to pull Junaid Matoo out of the 5th grade. He's not Sushil Pandit and Sambit Patra.
Let's get out of the personal slanging match that you are trying to make this out to be.
Can I take a 10
Yes, Sambit Patra, I'm coming to you. Just one small follow-up question to Junaid Matoo before I come across to both Suhail Bukhari as well as Sambit Patra. Junaid Matoo, the only question I'm asking is, forget your sacrosanct Jammu and Kashmir constitution for a minute. Forget the political hat that you wear for a minute and look at the human rights of these 2.5 lakh people. Do you think if you were one of them, try and feel the pain they must be going through for having lived in a country for 70 years and not being given their human rights? Isn't this their human right to be belonging to a state when others in different part of this country called India, who have migrated from Pakistan, become parts of those states, become parts of those assemblies, become part of those Lok Sabha elections? Why should only people who have come and chosen India over Pakistan in the state of Jammu and Kashmir be treated differently? Small question.
Navika, the humanitarian aspect of this issue, and I hope you let me say this, is a legitimate issue, and we have time and again said that they should be rehabilitated, compensated, and their day-to-day life should be taken care of. They should be given all fundamental human rights. They vote in the parliament elections, but our state subject laws are a matter of constitutional propriety and sacrosanct. They are sacrosanct. They are sacred to us. Our
half a human right.
Sacred to us. We will fight for it.
Half a human right.
No, it's not a human right. They can vote in parliament election. Why, Navika, you are an Indian citizen, right? Can you come and vote? Can you come and buy property in Jammu and Kashmir?
But I've chosen not to live in Jammu and Kashmir. They've chosen to live in Jammu and Kashmir. That's the fundamental difference, Junaid Matoo, Sambit Patra.
They can vote in Jammu and Kashmir. Their lives should be made easier, but they do not get to be state subjects, period.
Can I please come in
now? You
obviously
cannot set aside your political agenda. You're not able to look at this through any humanitarian lens. So let me take the question to Sambit Patra.
And I'm muttering.
Sambit Patra, this is entirely, debate focused on the fact that are these Hindus who are in question. Had they been Muslims, would this attitude have been as rigid as has been expressed by Junaid Matoo as of now?
No, of course not. That is an answer which is known to everyone. But before I go to the specific of this debate, I'll just take 10 seconds off to answer my good friend Mr. Matoo. Because I was hearing him when both of you are having a kind of a tutu meme. And Junaid Matoo returned back to you saying that you cannot, sitting in Delhi, change my constitution. So Mr. Matoo, I will just read out the 3 lines of the Supreme Court judgment, which has come only 4 days ago. And the judgment says, I quote, "It is clear that the state of Jammu and Kashmir has no vestige of sovereignty outside the Constitution of India and its own constitution, which is subordinate to the Constitution of India. They, that is, the residents of the states, are governed first by the Constitution of India and also by the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir thereafter." No, sir. Nothing that is said by the Supreme Court is irrelevant. For you it may be irrelevant, but it is not irrelevant. And I was not muttering when you were speaking, sir. Please don't mutter when I speak.
Subject law. It is the speciality of BJP people and their anchors to mutter.
Mr. Matoo, I would request you, please let's not behave like 8th grade students. I was not muttering when you were speaking.
He's chewed some wrong pill before he's come to the debate tonight. Junaid Matoo, come on. We are talking about a serious issue. You want to keep getting personal. We'll debate that out. We'll debate that separately. Let's get back to the issue, Junaid Matoo. Show some maturity. You're spokesperson of the national conference. You have a certain wealth in terms of position and your political wisdom. Flaunt that. Don't show your kindergarten nature. Don't bring that out, Junaid Matoo. You don't need to do that. Calm down, Junaid Matoo. Don't need to get personal. Let's talk about the subject rather than get personal. It doesn't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You please first learn your profession before you teach others and sermonize others. Get good at becoming a responsible spokesperson and a responsible Indian citizen and a Kashmiri first. Thereafter, you can come and lecture us about everything everything else. Now, calm down for some time. Let's go across to our other panelists. Now, this entire issue about Article 370 and state subject and etc., etc., etc.
Can I please complete my answer?
Etc., etc. Yeah, Sambit, yeah, quickly, because I want to bring in Sushil Pandit. I want to bring in Suhail Bukhari also. Yeah.
We have to understand this case without any emotion first. Number one, when 1947 partition took place, there were certain people who decided to choose India over Pakistan. They have been living here not for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years or 15 years. They have been living in this independent country since we all have been living in this independent country. That is, since independence, since 1947, these 60,000 people in Jammu. And up till now, Mr. Anand, you would be astonished to know these people cannot apply for a central government job because of the simple fact that they don't have a proof of an identity. This is inhuman. They are living in penury. If today, on behalf of the central government, the state government has taken
they know this all. They know this all, but they still look the other way, and that's why we asked Sambit Patra, why do they do so? Why do they do so, Sambit Patra? That's
because
the question. Sushil Pandit.
Communalizing.
Communalizing. Exactly. What do you mean by they are going to change the demography? We will not allow them to change the demography. Now look at. Let's talk about the demographics. Let's take the bull by the horns. Now let's see who's got.
Rohingya Muslims from Burma.
I'm quoting that. Sambit Patra. Before I go across to Sushil Pandit. Here is it. 2011 census. Sambit, one second.
The National Conference has never objected
Jammu and Kashmir had a population of 1.2 crore, 1.25 crore people. Of these, 67% were Muslims, 29% were Hindus. In the valley, 97% are Muslims. Hindus are less than 2%. If we take the upper estimate of these Western Pakistan refugee families or these Hindu families to be 2.5 lakh people in total, what will be the change of demographics in the valley that these people were yelling today, Sushil Pandit? Those people who were standing with posters saying deport them back to Pakistan made a mistake. They said them. They should have just said us and then stood with that poster. We would have gladly sent them over. Sushil Pandit.
Anand, I think your recommendation, your suggestion is a serious one and worth considering. But let me first of all make one point. Calling them refugees is a travesty. This is the 4th generation. Those who came as refugees were their grandparents or great-grandparents. 3-4 generations are born here, raised here. Some of them are dead and they haven't received a citizenship status. This is the tragedy of the constitution that is being referred to every time we deny them a basic citizenship status. I think first and foremost we should stop calling them refugees. They are born, raised citizens of this land. They have contributed here. They deserve the citizenship status, number one. Number two, when you refer to constitution, whether of Jammu and Kashmir or India, you will find such infirmities, such travesties, in fact, such perversions. I'll give you one example. The 98% Muslim population of the valley you just referred to is a minority under the constitution. And those 2% non-Muslims are a majority. Can you believe this? They want to have fruits of such perversion sitting there. And they will object to Hindus who are sitting in Jammu 5th generation and would not let them have the basic citizenship rights. And this perversion is not new, Anand. Let me give you just one example.
Yeah.
In 50s, when Tibet saw an exodus, Tibetans came to India.
Yeah, I was just coming to
that. The original name of Jammu and Kashmir is Jammu, Kashmir, Ladakh, Ha. You will see this in old documents.
I'm aware.
Sorry, Jammu, Kashmir, Tibet, Ha.
Tibet, Ha.
Tibet, Ha, because there was a tribute coming from Lhasa to the king of Jammu and Kashmir, Maharaja. There was a treaty. Zorawar Singh had gone and conquered Tibet also, and it used to receive tribute from there. Now, Ladakh is a region which is very similar culturally, socially, in terms of terrain, nature, everything to Tibet. But Sheikh Abdullah did not allow Buddhist Tibetans to settle in Ladakh. He drove them out. India had to give them place in Dharamshala in faraway Bangalore. But he allowed Muslim Tibetans.
That's
and
what
they got settled in Eidgah. They still live in the Eidgah colony.
That's what this whole
This
debate
discrimination
is all about.
of Muslim and non-Muslim has been on for the past 7 decades.
Suhail Bukhari, should this be given a communal tinge by any political party? The PDP, BJP government is trying to give them identities, give them at least the beginning of what is called a domicile, some sort of a citizenship in the state. But let me tell you how helpless even the Supreme Court felt. In 1987, when the Supreme Court deliberated on this matter, it was constrained by the Jammu and Kashmir separate status to give any relief, but it said, we do hope that the claims of the persons like the petitioner and others to exercise greater rights of citizenship will receive due consideration from the Union of India and the state of Jammu and Kashmir. We are, however, unable to give any relief to the petitioner. It also said this is a justifiable grievance. Now that you are revisiting this entire issue, Suhail Bukhari, would you want a consensus for parties like the National Conference to come on board with you to get the humanitarian aspect of this, to see the humanitarian aspect, to see the human rights of these 2.5 lakh families, or will we continue to use this as a political tool?
Navika, I would like to respond, and I hope you would let it remain uninterrupted, because we are talking about a very critical issue that is facing us. First of all, I take strong objection to anyone, including your channel, you, and of course the gentleman on the panel called Mr. Pandit, or anybody else for that matter, who is trying to look at it and deliberately criminalize an administrative matter that is being dealt with by the officials of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. We are not talking about Hindus, we are not talking about Muslims. Let it be absolutely clear. It is irrespective of what religion they come from. Second, what we are talking about right now, it would really serve all of us better if we would have done a background research on what we are going to talk about, what is the issue at hand, and how did it come about. What we are witnessing right now is that there is a malicious misinformation campaign that we believe is aimed at vitiating the atmosphere in the state of Jammu and Kashmir just when we were, getting some semblance of peace. We have seen such issues being raked up earlier, whether it be the issue of the Sainik colony, the Pandit colony, which did not, of course, work for them then, and now we have this whole issue. The background of what we are talking right now is that there is a group of these people who have been living, who have settled in various parts of Jammu particularly, and they have had issues vis-a-vis their employment. While there are constitutionalities vis-a-vis their permanent resident status in Jammu and Kashmir, they do have voting rights for the Lok Sabha. Now, for them to be part of the central government jobs, for example, paramilitary forces and elsewhere, there was no set pro forma which could have been issued to them that would have helped them while they would go and apply for these jobs. Somewhere in 2014, there was a parliamentary committee that had come to assess the situation, and then various recommendations were made. Finally, a format has been arrived at. Now, what they are being given right now is an identity certificate, which they would use when they go for application of any of the government jobs, or for that matter, even cash relief that might come and has been coming of late from the central government. This helps them to be identified in various departments and ministries of the government of India. So that remains it as of now. Now, there are people who have been looking for issues and then to try and create an atmosphere where the situation in Jammu and Kashmir that is barely returning to normal after bloodshed and tensions over last almost 5 months, they are not liking it, and that's why they are vitiating this whole atmosphere.
Suhail Bukhari,
to clarify
Suhail Bukhari, with your permission, Suhail Bukhari, with your permission, a small question that I'd like to add at this point. The small question is, are you also running away, shy of handling the entire issue head-on when you are in government? Do you also want to skirt around the issue, look at the peripheral issues, not the real problem that these people are facing? Is that what you are scared of as the government of Jammu and Kashmir, to take a position on, because you know the opposition will use this against you? Are you afraid to do the right thing?
Well, you are at liberty to decide what is right, what is wrong, and of course, sitting in Delhi, you may raise questions vis-a-vis what we are afraid of and what we are not. But sitting here, being involved in the affairs of what we are dealing with, I think we have made it absolutely clear in what we are trying to do. These people definitely need facilitation, because they've been living here and they need all facilitation to help them live a respectable life.
So even you are saying,
Suhail Bukhari, all the facilitation. Yes.
So, Suhail Bukhari, so what you're also saying is that these cards that are being given to them is not to make them part of Jammu and Kashmir, but just to allow them to get jobs in central government, central postings, paramilitary postings. So for you also, they do not become Kashmiris. They do not become part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Is that what you're also saying?
Narasimhan, it is not for Suhail Bukhari or Mr. X or Mr. Zahir, or for that matter even Mr. Anand, that whether by issuing this identity card, whether they will become state subjects or not. There are laws prescribed, there is constitutionality which is in place, that remains there.
You're again going to talk about Article 370.
Anand, let me tell you how this constitutionality has come about.
One sec, Sushil.
Based on malicious and misinformation.
What I'm trying to understand, see, those who are spreading misinformation, we told them where they should be. Somebody sitting on the gates outside the Chief Minister's house still wanting to protest, that person is in the wrong spot. We believe that, Suhail Bukhari. We believe that. But what I'm asking you, Suhail Bukhari, is, do you think it is fair for those people who have spent 4 generations in Kashmir, 3 to 4 generations, more than 70 years now in Kashmir? They have chosen Jammu and Kashmir, they want to live there, they have been part of that system. Do you think it is fair to cite constitutionality and create this entire thing about, oh, they will spoil the demographics of our state, and deny them what they should be, Kashmiris? Why treat them as second-class citizens? Is it fair? Why can't they be treated as citizens or domicile or locals or people of Jammu and Kashmir? They chose your state. They chose to live with you. I'm not talking about Article 370. I'm not talking about, I'm talking, look at it from a different angle, from a humanitarian angle, from a very practical angle. Even other states which have domicile laws, they say if they can speak, read, write and speak your language, if they are born in your state, they are domicile. They are from that state.
So what you're referring to are the laws that exist, Anand. Now let me say, what you are referring to are maybe the laws that exist in those places. What we are talking about is something that is being governed by the laws that exist here. And one very important aspect that I again am revisiting, for God's sake, don't turn this communal, because you are doing no less disservice to the idea of this nation and the ethos of Jammu and Kashmir when you try to bring in the whole idea of Hindus and Muslims.
No, I'm not
Bukhari, we are not queasy about raising the question about communal angles, because politicians have unabashedly used communalism to their own ends. So let's not get very pious over here that,
please don't accuse us. By finding this, you are being equally, responsible for that.
Yes, we are calling a spade, and Sushant Sareen hasn't spoken yet. Sushant Sareen, do you think these politicians who are today preaching to us that we are raising communal questions are the same politicians who would actually talk this language if the 2.5 lakh people, the 19,960 families that we are talking about had been of Muslim origin? Or is it this the language of preaching to us only because these are Hindus?
See, I think this whole issue is it's a lot more complicated. And we are mixing up a couple of issues. Number one, the kind of state in which many of these refugees, and I agree with Sushil that you shouldn't call them refugees, that's a travesty, but for want of a better word, many of these victims of partition, the conditions in which they've been living for the last 70 years this identity card which has been started for reasons which the gentleman just before me spoke, I think that is something which needs to be welcomed, because it's at least one step forward to giving them some relief, some identity, some kind of some kind of a document which proves who they are. So to that extent it is okay, but let's not put too fine a point on it. There is a kind of xenophobia which is there in Kashmir, and there is a sort of Muslim majority communitarianism which comes into play, especially when you are in opposition. Now the PDP at the time when the NC was ruling actually went a bit on the warpath on the issue of the Amarnath Yatra, the facilities which were being created out there. I think they played a very dubious role. Similarly, the National Conference is going to, fish in these waters because they think that this will give them some leg up over the ruling dispensation. So that Muslim majority communitarianism in the valley has been par for the course. My problem, however, is that, this, while I agree that there are state laws, what is the reason why for something like 100,000 or 200,000 people, the state laws were not amended? At least you could have accommodated them. The second point is, in Jammu and Kashmir, with the kind of state subject rules which you have imposed upon the state, which you think is going to protect your identity, it has also led to the lack of economic development out there. Investors will not come, a whole lot of other things will not happen. In other states where these restrictions are not there, it's not as though the demographic composition of those states have changed. So I don't see why somebody like me who's settled in Delhi, or somebody who's in Tamil Nadu, or somebody who's in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana or wherever else would want to go and settle in Jammu and Kashmir simply because he wants to change the demography. It's not going to happen. And finally, all those people who are quoting all these laws to justify their xenophobia, I wonder what is the position which these people take when there are right-wing parties in Europe which say that refugees, especially who are coming from the Middle East, should not be allowed in because they will change the culture of the place, because they will create terrorism, because of a range of other issues. I wonder what is the attitude of these people when Donald Trump makes the kind of remarks he does.
Well, Sushant, Sareen, you will have to
silence. Anand, 1 second.
Yeah.
I am appalled by the deafening silence of all those people, who do a lot of breast beating, in West Bengal or in some of the other places, that please look at it from a humanitarian angle of these economic refugees who have come. Here are people who were religiously persecuted and had to leave Pakistan and come to India, took refuge in India and settled down out here. Here are people who are not economic refugees, but they were political oustees.
Most importantly, Sushant, Sareen, most importantly, these refugees came to India.
Looked at differently by politicians and political parties in the rest of India. Why?
Navika.
Because they
not just that, Navika. Most importantly, these people came to India before Article 370. These people came to India before Article 370, Irfan Qaiser.
Yes,
these people came to India before Article 370, Junaid Matoo. So how can you hide behind Article 370? And how can you hide behind the so-called constitutionality when these people came to India before Article 370?
Anand, you are talking
I'll
about
add just one fact to your question.
You should be talking about the state subject laws. This is not a derivative of Article 370.
Yes, Sushil.
This is a derivative of the state subject laws.
Please, they came to Jammu and Kashmir before Article 370. You treated them as second-class citizens. Then you're treating them as second-class citizens. How is it fair that you hide behind the constitutionality of a so-called state subject that came after these people came to your land? How can you do that? So in that case, you want to go back to history? You want to go back to history? Then it's going to make you very uncomfortable, Junaid Matoo. If you want to go back to history, it's going to make you very uncomfortable.
I'll tell you how this happened.
Sushil Pandit.
State subject laws precede the partition of the Indian subcontinent.
And Junaid Matoo, let me tell you how those state subject laws happened. Not only Article 370 came in November 1949.
This young man is misquoting.
In 1954, a section 35A was smuggled into Constitution. Section 35A in 1954 was smuggled into the Indian Constitution without any reference to the Parliament. It was through a presidential proclamation given in order to allow the state of Jammu and Kashmir to define its state subjects from retrospective effect. In 1954, this presidential proclamation, which is extra constitutional, which was a perfidy, which was a hoax committed on constitution, allowed Jammu and Kashmir to define its state subjects from retrospective effect more than 10 years back. And it is this travesty which allows them to those
who talk about we will not allow Jammu and Kashmir to be demographically altered. Here is something you need to hear. Hear this. To those who say we will not allow Jammu and Kashmir to be demographically altered, please hear this. Even if all Kashmiri Pandits who were forced to leave their homes in 1989 and 1990 by terrorists and their separatist friends, even if they return to Valley, the demographics of Jammu and Kashmir will not change. At present, there are 60,452 registered Kashmiri migrant families in the country. 38,119 Kashmiri registered Kashmiri migrant families are in Jammu. 19,338 Kashmiri migrant families are living in Delhi. And besides Jammu and Delhi, about 1,995 families are settled in other states. Even if all of them return to the valley, the demographics will not be altered. The population of Kashmir Valley, as per the 2011 census, is 53,50,000 people with 97% Muslim population. So even if all these families were to be rehabilitated back to where they belong, Muslims will still be a significant majority. So those who talk about demographic alteration should not say it.
Let me also tell you, Junaid, Matoo, while you're talking about Kashmiri Pandits, let me give you statistics. The same separatists, the terrorists and, the separatists who drove out the Kashmiri Pandits, what the National Conference government has been doing for them. Let me just give you some statistics, and this will be an eye-opener for all our viewers. So viewers, I request you to listen to these numbers very, very carefully. The breakup of funding extended to separatists, Mr. Matoo, during your tenure in Kashmir, separatists were given VVIP treatment by way of police protection, hotel accommodation, fuel expenses, while legitimate citizens of India...
The SLE account, the security-related expenditure account maintained by the Home Ministry, invited two Indian Prime Ministers, meet the separatists. Were they anti-nationals? Was Vajpayee a Pakistani?
Did you say don't meet them? Junaid, I haven't even given the numbers yet. I haven't even given the numbers yet. In 2014-15, a total of 120 crore rupees was spent on separatists. Salaries for guards who are guarding these separatists, 69 crores. Spent on PSOs, 40 crores. Hotel accommodation, 3.6 crore. Fuel expenses, 5.18 crores. This is only in 2014-2015.
By the Ministry of Home Affairs.
And before that, 107 crores being spent on these separatists. How long,
if you want one issue with
will you continue to speak the language of separatists?
Navika, I need to correct Sushant.
When will you facilitate the re-entry of the Kashmiri Pandits back? When will you talk about the humanitarian grounds that you so recently spoke about just a few minutes ago? Why don't you look at humanitarianly? As a political party, isn't it your duty towards
Pandits who are state subjects?
But you're not allowing them to come back and resettle as well. What have you done to make the Kashmiri Pandits come back and resettle in Jammu and Kashmir?
That's all we get, a lip service.
Reservation in jobs.
What have you done for them?
Package proposal was sent by
Rubbish, hoax.
What have you done for them?
Just one fact.
And we will continue to do that.
As a major political party in Jammu and Kashmir, Junaid, Matoo, shouldn't you be sitting down and looking at these 2.5 lakh citizens
Can we also
of
come in,
India,
please,
but not
Anand?
citizens of
Yes.
Jammu and Kashmir.
They are not
Their future also isn't, aren't they stakeholders who deserve your attention as
Navika,
well?
more on the state subject. Navika, more on the state subject that Junaid Matoo is talking about. Now hear this, Junaid Matoo. Back to those Hindus, back to those people who chose India over Pakistan. And hear this out, please. Please hear this out. No, please hear this out. Please hear this out. The Jammu and Kashmir Constitution. Junaid Matoo, I'm talking about West Pakistan refugees, as you would like to call them. The Jammu and Kashmir Constitution, which was adopted on the 17th of November 1956, defined a permanent resident of the state as a person who was a state subject on the 14th of May 1954 or who has been a resident of the state for 10 years. So yes. by then, a lot of people had already come by 1954. A lot of these people had come. Please, now let me complete. And has lawfully acquired immovable property in the state. Okay, the Jammu and Kashmir legislature could alter the definition of permanent resident through a law passed by 2/3 majority. The PR law replicated a state subject law promulgated by the Dogra king Maharaja Hari Singh in 1927 following a strong campaign by Kashmiri Pandits who were opposed to the hiring of civil servants from Punjab because it affected their representation in the Dogra administration. Now, the Kashmiri Pandit agitation of the time did not... Hear it. Pura sun lo, Junaid Matoo, don't jump the gun. The Kashmiri Pandit agitation of the time did not affect the Muslim majority because Dogras as a policy kept Muslims largely out of the administration. So this is the genesis. This is the genesis of the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution promulgation. But
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, but the critical aspect is, you threw out those people in 1989, 1990 who you believe are Kashmiris and you have not yet got them back. Those people who you believe are refugees were already there in 1954 and when this act was started in 1956.
One issue
Sambit
with Mr.
Patra,
Sareen.
I'm coming across to you. Yes, Rizwan, I'm coming to you. Let me just get in Sambit Patra. Sambit Patra, at present there are about 60,000.
We will not amend our permanent residency law.
Never say never, Junaid Matoo. Future generations will force you to. How many more generations will you take before you give justice to these people? You cannot close your eyes to justice to these people. Sambit Patra.
Drop of our blood. We will protect our state.
Oh my God.
Wow. Junaid Matoo sounds so good, but does not make sense. Thank you very much. Junaid Matoo sounds so good, but does not make sense. You're ringing hollow.
Yes. Junaid Matoo, instead of the drops of blood that you talk about, I wish you had a few drops of tears for those 2.5 lakh Hindu refugees who still continue to be called refugees after 70 years. Sambit Patra, the question to you is, at present there are about 60,452 registered Kashmiri migrant families in the country. About 38,000 of them have registered Kashmiri migrant families are residing in Jammu and Kashmir. About 19,000 of them, of these Kashmiri migrant families are living in Delhi. Why should Kashmiri migrant families in Delhi be given the status of citizens of the country, of the state, of anywhere they want to be, and refugees in Jammu and Kashmir who left their country in West Pakistan, chose India for patriotic reasons, for religious persecution? Why should they
I have
be
a very
treated
objective
differently?
answer for that, Navika. Indian citizenship.
Junaid,
Junaid,
the question was for Sambit. Junaid, every question cannot be answered by you, by rhetoric and complete and only rhetoric without looking at the humanitarian aspects.
The Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir.
Why can't the Constitution be amended, Junaid? It's the need of the hour.
Please,
You need to
Junaid,
revisit.
please do not butt in everywhere. Please be cool and sit down and listen to others also.
Sambit Patra.
Yes, number one.
I'm not butting it, Sambit.
Number one.
Please don't disrespect our Constitution.
Sir, can I speak? Can I speak, sir? The Constitution guarantees me freedom of speech. Can I speak with your permission? Yes, thank you. Number one. I mean, Navika, it is not just the migrant Kashmiris or migrants from West Pakistan who are staying in other parts of the country. We should be reminded of the fact that there were two West Pakistan migrants who became Prime Minister of this great country. Respectable Shri Manmohan Singh ji and respectable Mr. Gujral. Both of them rose to become the Prime Minister of the country. Look at the difference. People have become Prime Minister of country after having come from West Pakistan. But there are refugees, 60,000 almost, in Jammu, who are fighting for their basic rights in life. They cannot be adjusted in a government job just because of the fact that they have not been provided an identity card for 70 long years. And what are we shouting over here?
They do.
What is law of any country meant
Navika,
for?
I want to join this issue.
Law in any country is meant for basic human rights.
Right. Sambit Patra, way over time. Professor Qaiser wanted to intervene.
Hand it over to you to conclude this debate, Anand. I just want to make a small point to Junaid Matoo. Junaid Matoo, who smarted over the fact that I read out those figures of 107 crores and 140 crores that was spent. It was by the NC government, which was part of the UPA. So the Home Ministry then, Farooq Abdullah was part of the Home Ministry. So Junaid Matoo, don't take away the Home Ministry figures as unimportant. You were part of the UPA government when the Home Ministry was spending that money. Last comment coming in to Professor Rizwan.
My submission to Mr. Patra and Mr. Sareen and all the anchors is, say for instance, Citizenship Amendment Bill 2016, it is so discriminatory. It talks about possibility of the return of any kind of refugee, Christian, Hindu, Sikh, this, that, another, but it doesn't talk about Muslim. Problem is that we are living in polarizing times. No matter what administrative decisions are taken, no matter what legislative matters are initiated, we have this kind of binary, this is us and this is they. Why Muslims are not included? Imagine
why are Hindus not being included and allowed to settle back in Jammu and Kashmir, Professor Qaiser? Let's talk about that. Please understand, don't lecture us, don't lecture Indians on being Indians. And as I conclude this debate, let us understand to all our viewers, we are the only country across the world which is an inclusive culture. We do not exclude people, and let's not bring this exclusivity into our system, and let's not let Jammu and Kashmir or any other state, let no state in our country that abides by the Constitution of India change the ethos that is India. We are an inclusive nation. We allow everybody to prosper.
By citizenship
we allow everybody to prosper. Whoever creates an us versus them needs to be taught the history that is India, the country that is India, and that's what we are trying to say. Forget state subject, forget what laws. We are people of this country. We are people. We are Indians, and those who choose India need to be respected, not treated as second-class citizens. Thank you very much for joining us on debate number 1 on the Newshour tonight.